As Iran marks the beginning of the Persian year 1403, March 20th, 2024 to March 20th, 2025, it remains evident that human rights issues have been one of the most serious challenges facing the mullahs regime. In 1402, Iran witnessed unrestrained suppression. At least 810 prisoners were executed according to published information, although the actual numbers are likely higher. Among these, 754 were men, 21 women, 8 juvenile offenders, and 20 political prisoners, including public executions. Moreover, at least 175,088 individuals were detained, with political arrests, arbitrary detentions, and social arrests making up the bulk. The continuous violation of human rights has further tarnished the image of the regime internationally. In his remarks on March 18, 2024, the UN Special Rapporteur on the Human Rights Situation in Iran, Javaid Rehman, described the situation of human rights in Iran during the 55th United Nations Human Rights Council.
I remain very concerned at the ongoing executions and spike in death penalty sentences observed during the reporting period. At least 834 people were executed in 2023, a 43% increase compared to 2022. Of the reported executions in 2023, as of December 31st, 2023, since the commencement of the nationwide protests in September 2022, the Iranian authorities have regrettably executed 9 men for their involvement in the protests. Despite serious concerns expressed by my mandate and by the international community, children continue to be executed in Iran, with at least 1 reported execution in 2023. One of the highest rates of women executions continue to be recorded in the country, with at least 22 women executed in 2023. I'm extremely concerned at the number of death sentences following proceedings that violated due process and the right to a fair trial, as provided in Article 14 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, to which the Islamic Republic of Iran is a party. There were also allegations of torture and ill treatment in detention, and defendants were frequently denied access to a lawyer, and lawyers were not allowed to defend their clients. All executions in Iran constitute arbitrary deprivation of life and violate the right to life guaranteed by Article 6 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights.
The UN fact-finding mission on Iran also shed light on the gross violation of human rights during the 2022 nationwide uprising.
But the response to those protests was not of communication or recognition of any of those grievances. Instead, we saw quite brutal responses. The entire state apparatus was mobilized, with security forces using firearms, including AK-47s and Uzis, as we documented in some areas, resulting in injuries and deaths, credible figures that we found of up to 551 deaths, at least 49 women and 68 children. And we found that those occurred in 26 out of the 31 provinces of Iran over multiple months. One of the very distinctive features of the 2022 protests and continuing into 2023 was these signs of mostly young people with white protective patches over their eyes. What we found was that security forces shot at protesters and also at bystanders at very short distances in a targeted fashion, causing injuries to their heads, necks, torsos, genital areas, but particularly to their eyes. And we found hundreds of protesters had these life-changing injuries, with many of them now blinded and branded essentially for life, marked as dissidents, and that means subjected to further denial of their rights within the state.
These reports underscore the regime's widespread use of execution, arbitrary detention, and torture as means to suppress legitimate public demonstrations and demands for accountability. 2 key factors have prevented the regime from concealing its crimes despite its efforts and the West's policy of appeasement. First is the presence of a nationwide resistance and a democratic alternative that has been active in exposing the regime's actions on the international stage. The second factor is the role of citizens and the use of mass media and social networks, which have helped to bring the regime's atrocities to light. Despite increasing suppression, executions, and torture, the regime has only added to the public's anger and dissatisfaction. The illegitimacy of the regime was further highlighted in the sham parliamentary elections, which were massively boycotted. Last year, according to the Persian calendar, the Iranian society staged a total of 3,363 protests, averaging 9 protests a day. This reflects a society that is seething with anger and eager to free itself from the clutches of a bloodthirsty dictatorship. The persistent defiance and protest movements across the country underscore the inevitability of the regime's downfall, driven by a society yearning for freedom and justice.
Follow the People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran on YouTube, Facebook, X, and our website.